Biology Chapter 3 Plant Kingdom of Class 11 Angiosperms. General characteristics of angiosperms. Angiosperms are also called flowering plants as the pollen grain and the ovule are developed in special structure called flower. Their ovules are enclosed within the ovaries and hence the seeds are formed within fruit. Angion means cover, sperma means seeds. Flowering plants range in size from tiny, example wolffia, the smallest angiosperm, to tall trees over 100 meters, example Eucalyptus. Angiosperms are divided into two classes, dicotyledons and monocotyledons. Exceptionally large group of plants are angiosperms. They range in size. They are divided into two classes, dicot and monocot. The seeds which have two cotyledons are known as the dicotyledons. The leaves of these dicotyledons are reticulate venation. Flowers are tetramerous or pentamerous, that is 4 or 5 members in each floral whorls. In monocotyledon, it has only one cotyledon. Leaves has parallel venation and flowers are trimerous, that is 3 members in each floral whorl. Flower is a reproductive structure. Male sex organ is a flower is the stamen. Each stamen consists of filament with an anther at the tip. Within the anthers, the pollen mother cells divide by meiosis to produce microspores, which matures into pollen grains. Female sex organs is the flower is the pistil. It consists of swollen ovary at its base, a long slender style and stigma. Ovary contains ovules. And ovule has the megaspore cells that undergoes meiosis to form 4 haploid megaspore. 3 of them degenerate and 1 divide to form embryo sac. Each embryo sac has a 3-celled egg aperture, 1 egg cell and 2 synergid cells at micropylar end, 3 antipodal cells at the chalazal end, and at the center the 2 polar nuclei is present. The polar nuclei eventually fuse to produce a secondary nucleus that is diploid in nature 2N. Pollen grains are dispersed from the anther and carried by wind or other agencies to stigma of the pistil. It is called pollination. The pollen grains germinate on the stigma and the resulting pollen tube grow through the tissue of stigma and style and reach the ovule. The pollen tube enters the embryo sac where 2 male gametes are discharged. One male gamete fused with egg cell to form zygote, that is syngamy. The other male gamete fused with diploid secondary nucleus to produce triploid primary endosperm nucleus, that is pen. Because of the involvement of the two fusion, this event is called double fertilization. It is an event unique to angiosperm. Zygote develop into an embryo with 1 or 2 cotyledons. Pen, that is a primary endosperm nucleus, develop into endosperms which provide nourishment to the developing embryo. Synergid and antipodal cells degenerate after fertilization. During these events, ovule develop into seeds and ovary develop into fruits. The seeds are enclosed by fruits. Here is the structure of angiosperm flower, which shows all the walls of the floral axis. Sepals is the basal green part, petals coloring parts, carpel which consists of stigma style ovary. Inside ovary, ovules are present. The male reproductive organ is known as stamen and it consists of anther and filaments. Here is the reproduction of angiosperm flowers. Different type of reproduction of angiosperm according to dicot and monocot seeds. The flowers which are converted into the fruit. The floral parts, that is sepals and petals, are not involved in some type of fruits. Fruits, ovary is converted into fruit and ovules are converted into seeds. Plant life cycle and alternation of generation. In plants, both haploid and diploid cells can divide by mitosis. These form haploid and diploid plant body. Haploid plant body gametophyte produce gametes by mitosis. After fertilization, the zygote also divide by mitosis to produce diploid plant body, that is sporophyte. These produce haploid spores by meiosis. Spores divide by mitosis to form a haploid plant body. Thus, during the life cycle of any sexually reproducing plant, there is an alternation of generation between gametophyte, haploid, and sporophyte diploid. Patterns of plant life cycle are of three types: haplontic life cycle, diplontic life cycle, and haplodiplontic life cycle. Haplontic life cycle. In this, prophytic generation is represented only by the zygote. Zygote undergoes meiosis to form haploid spores. They divide mitotically to form gametophyte. The dominant photosynthetic phase is the free-living gametophyte, as for example algae such as Volvox pyrogyra and some species of Chlamydomonas. Diplontic life cycle. In this, the diploid sporophyte is the dominant photosynthetic independent phase. Gametophytic phase is represented by the single to few cell haploid gamete. As for example, an alga, fucus species, all seed-bearing plants, that is gymnosperms and angiosperms. The gametophytic phase is few to multicellular. Haplodiplontic life cycle. It is the intermediate condition between haplontic and diplontic life cycle. Both gametophyte and sporophyte are multicellular and often free living, but they have different dominant phase. As for example, some species of bryophytes and pteridophytes.